There are flyers in the back, they're bright yellow. Next, just a quick one update from Albany. Again, you can read more about it in our reports in the back. I wanted to talk about the Child Victims Act briefly, which is our bill sponsored by Senator Hoylman to crack down on child sexual abuse predators. New York is one of the worst statutes of limitations in the nation for prosecuting these crimes. We're trying to change that. Unfortunately, the state Senate Republicans are very against this legislation. We're not totally sure why. We weren't able to get the bill passed in the Senate this year. However, I did want to give a shout out to Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal, who sponsored the bill in the Assembly for the first time this year and managed to get it passed. We came very close. The governor was supportive this year. But just wanted to flag that as something I thought you might be interested in. You can read more in the back again. We're also fighting some of the tall buildings here on the Upper West Side. We're requesting an audit of MTA bus service citywide from the controller, the state controller. So that's it. Yeah, thanks.
Next is Stacy Moore, followed by Sean Coughlin of Councilmember Johnson's office.
Hello, my name is Daisy Moore. I'm here at State Senator Shawna's office. So I dropped off some of the community reports in the back. It's for July. They haven't been emailed yet. I see. I'll pick it up in the back. They're going to be back tomorrow. The Upper West tomorrow. The West Side is at 120 West 72. I'm going to take this number 2828-5829. And there's always someone near the phone if you have any comments, questions, concerns. And yeah, that's it.
This is Sean.
Hey, Sean from Councilmember Corey Johnson's office. I just want to echo what Councilmember Rosenthal said about the Fresh Fruits and Vegetables program. It's a really great opportunity. I know most of you, it's going to be more convenient to do it either at her office or at the Goddard Riverside, but any of you Southerners out there, we're closer to 49th Street. We've got a senior center at 239 West, yes, I know it's not that south, that's the joke. Got there. 239 West 49th Street. That's Encore Senior Center. You can sign up this Monday or Tuesday. $8, $8 American dollars. This week you got blueberries, carrots, lettuce, parsley, tomatoes, onions, all for $8. You steal it twice the price. So really, I encourage you, if you or anyone you know is eligible to participate, we're not checking IDs, so anybody can come on down. Really take advantage of the program. It's a great opportunity.
Thank you so much. And next is Gus Hispin from Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal's office.
Firstly, I lament almost having to follow Sean's exuberance there. But happy summer, everybody. I'm Gus from Linda Rosenthal's office. Firstly, just to build off of Tara's comments about the Child Victims Act, we were thrilled to get it through the Assembly, 137 or 139 to 7. But there's still, unfortunately, work to be done in the Senate. And just days after session, the sort of horror of this unmovable bill was reinforced by the news from the Vatican with the Pope's one of his top cardinals. So hopefully that sits heavy with some of our Republican senators over the summer. Some uplifting news: the Assembly member, after 5 years, was able to pass the Clean Indoor Air Act, which will ban the smoking of e-cigarettes anywhere indoors in New York State that tobacco products are banned. Not only was the uptake in e-cigarette use amongst minors very problematic and concerning, but a lot of the indoor smoking that we had worked to stigmatize in recent years has sort of we'd seen regress in recent years with e-cigarettes. So this is very encouraging. On the community front, a few weeks ago, the Assembly member, as she always does, testified at the Rent Guidelines Board calling for a much-needed rent rollback. We didn't quite get it, but we got low rent increases this year for rent-stabilized tenants, although a slight uptick from last year. And lastly, event-wise, we have the Shred Day coming up on July 16th. The couple of questions: you can leave your staples in, and you can watch your documents be shredded.
And now we'll move into our business section.
Gus, is the shredding event at the registered office? Yes. Thanks.
First, we have Michelle Parker.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. This is a vote on a wine and beer application for the location is 36 West 106th Street. You might know it as a hostel called Jazz on the Park. It's between Manhattan Avenue and Central Park West on the south side. And the name on the application is 36 West 106th Street Venture. So we scheduled a pre-meeting today, and they didn't show up. But they called the office, and we took a vote on a resolution. Our resolution was to disapprove the application, but I want to read the resolution into the record, and then ask for your vote. Whereas on, who's taking, Mark, you doing this? Okay, whereas on July 5th, 2017, Terrence Flynn, lawyer for applicant 36 West 106th Street Venture, has communicated with John Martinez, Assistant District Manager for CB7, and undertook to, one, come back to the BCI committee meeting on July 12th, 2017, and to bring the owner, the applicant owner, to answer all questions, and two, has agreed they will not file the application with the New York State Liquor Authority until after the CB7 September full board meeting on September 5th, 2017. With that, therefore, the application was disapproved 5-0-0-0 for committee and 2-0-0-0 non-committee members. We saw them at our last committee meeting. They're coming to the next committee meeting, and I don't know if anybody's here from, I guess they wouldn't be here, anybody else. We're not holding any more pre-meetings on this issue. So I'm asking for your vote to disapprove this wine and beer application for 36 106. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we have new instructions. With the SLA, you have to vote to approve or disapprove. Yeah, we used to do with prejudice, and that's seen as an approval. But we're disapproving. Because we have a pre-meeting. This is the second time we're meeting about this. The first time was...
We were advised that we needed to vote on it tonight.
Yeah, so we want to make a vote, especially because they agreed not to take the application in front of the SLA, Jay, before the September full board meeting. We want to prevent them from going to the SLA now and making their application.
The application was in, and this is to make sure they can put it back out.
Right.
Correct.
Yes, yes. Mark, you have a question?
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that this was the establishment that is in a purely residential zone with no commercial overlay, which is why it's getting different attention and right, the gentleman committee would be so careful to respect this as opposed to the usual situation where somebody doesn't show up and they would.
This is only a wine and beer application. You usually hear the full spirit application.
So-
from us. Yes.
Could you just clarify what Mark means, or Mark, could you clarify what it means to be a not zoned for any commercial overlay, and whether wine and beer is allowed in that zoning? Also, my understanding of this building is that it's an SRO that's potentially being used illegally as a hotel.
Could be.
And
To answer the question, it's in residential area, the SLA will do whatever the community board wants. And CB7 has never approved a wine and beer license in a residential area.
No,
Can
what
they
it
even
means,
be running a cafe
notwithstanding
like they are?
its designation, the applicant came to us to ask for approval of a beer license. Am I right, Penny? Yeah.
It is complicated.
Are they even allowed to run a cafe without serving any wine or beer in an SRO that's being used as an illegal hotel, if that's the case?
Yeah, wait.
Basically, the SLA is saying, in a residential zone, you cannot have a liquor license. However, in certain circumstances, the SLA will allow it if the full board, meeting board allows it. In that case, anytime there is a complaint to the SLA about that license, they'll tell the complaint, go to committee. They won't take it. So it's really incumbent around us.
But are they allowed to even, John?
That's the fact. They came to the first. Yeah. They came to the committee meeting last month. They didn't come today. They called Joe. Oh, you called him to remind him he has to show up. He said, please come to the next committee meeting. And he said, you said okay, but he had to agree to bring the owner and that he will not file the application with the SIA.
And we just want to protect the community board, that they will not go behind our backs, the community board.
Because they could do that, but now we agreed not to. I,
No, not unless,
We don't have to.
no, I think she misspoke. If the community board approves, if the community board disapproves, they will not approve. If the community board takes no action, they will do whatever they want to do.
They may approve it, not understand.
So the community board, from what we understand, the community board has to take an action. This will be the action we take tonight, and then it will go back to the BCI. They will come back with a real resolution and an explanation of what's happening.
Audrey, you had a question?
With that neighborhood, if you were sitting on Manhattan Avenue, Jasmine Park, it's to your right about 100 feet. If you look on the northern side of the street, less than 100 feet west, you'll see two restaurants. So I haven't peeked in to see if they sell any wine or that I see in here. But, it's a little, I'm just not sure whether you can accurately say that this is zone residential where there are two restaurants right there.
I think you're talking about one block
Right.
west. This is between Manhattan and Central Park West. I think you're talking about between Manhattan and Columbus.
Yes, but this street. This street is zone residential, where Jazz on the Park is zone residential.
Between Manhattan and Central Park West is
Zone.
residential.
So let's,
That's what we meant, we should include that.
so let's call the question.
Wait, maybe somebody else had a question. Okay, so we're asking you to disapprove this application. And I read the resolution. Want me to- Okay, all those in favor of the resolution to disapprove?
You can be a board member.
Agree? Agree?
Come to our next committee meeting next week, 12. Yes, I can give this to you now. Thank you.
Next is land use. Turn this over to Paige.
Can you hear me? I have 6 images for this item. It's your item 2 on your sheet for 584 Columbus Avenue between 88th and 89th Street. It's a physical culture establishment called the Fitting Room. And our committee had the pleasure of hearing this initially on May 17th. And we had numerous questions about the application that was presented. As it was a new application, but it turned out to be a legalization. And we had many questions. So the council representing the owner, Jay Goldstein, returned on June 21st and was very helpful in helping us resolve some of the questions that we had. But at that meeting, the architect, Nathan Wright, nor the owner, Carrie Sekowitz, were not available. So we had a third meeting on this application this evening as a pre-meeting. Just to give you an indication of why we were so concerned about this, is that this is the elevation of the storefront, which many of you may know as Bella Luna previously. There are 2 storefronts put together. They still are one single retail unit. The issue is, of course, we've gone to a great deal of trouble with CB7 in revising the Upper West Side urban renewal project buildings where they are facing the street with the setback from concrete, with allowing the developers to build out the street to create a more lively, engaging urban streetscape. This is an example going the other way. Space that is obscured, and this is a pair of fitness establishments. The other one called SLP, Strength and Home. And the reason why you may ask, why are we reviewing that? Because it's not a physical culture establishment. Because it does not have changing rooms in the facility. So it differentiates the two, but it doesn't alleviate the problem. So during these meetings, this shows the fitting room, as it's called, spelled FHITTING. Those from where the couple of young ladies are standing to the old entrance of Bella Luna on the north, the
The current entrance is now to the south, and you'll see the green logo. And you'll see that that half of the storefront, which is about 22 feet, is actually clearer than the northern half, which is actually the exercise room. Next slide. This shows the exercise room, so you can see that it has the opaque look to the bottom, up above, and I apologize for letting it be great, but you can see about a 12-inch depth and a blank sheetrock wall that is not fully finished. It's a bit of a wall, because that, of course, is the back side of the wall that is an acoustical box within a box. We've seen this many times in physical. Oh, my. Come here. Just fall flat on my face. So, next slide. This is the entrance, and you can see it's very different. They have this very, the interior couldn't be nicer, with bright, lively, lime green, black, white, pristine equipment and retail space, except for what you see on the street, which is that white panel. And at the second meeting, we learned that behind that panel was a handy lift that was not shown on the original drawings that the committee was presented. So tonight's meeting was all about how do we convince the applicant to make changes to something they've already built out. And it was frankly quite successful. So Richard went first, and I, emboldened by his move, went into the store last Saturday, as in the slide. And you can see when you walk in, it's really, and I apologize, these are hard. So this is the handy lift which exists behind that white blockade that you saw. And the reasoning for that is that the tower, which you see that little on that box, is the tower that actually powers the unit. Our meeting tonight was to discuss with the architect, in fact, that tower needed to actually be supported by such an expansive wall, and the architect made the right of agreement that he would investigate being able to remove that entire wall, because most of this is sheetrock, clear stud walls and sheetrock on the side to create a clear storage so that the box would fill this space. So that was a positive action we got. The next slide shows the retail space, and you can see the imposition of that black box. So the owner, I think, Harry was quite happy to explore with one more time the removal of at least the full height. And then if you could go back, Jerry, to the first of this, that one. Now it's hard to see, but you have to take my word for it, that the clothing you see reflected on the right-hand piece of glass is actually reflective glass. And this was confirmed tonight to be a soundproof glass, because again, it's a box within a box. What you can see, and you can see a silhouette going off at an angle, are cubby holes for all the equipment that's used behind that wall, that is the blank wall facing the balcony. So our committee set about, and starting in the May meeting, followed up by June tonight, to ask them to explore other ways that they could enliven that blank wall. They committed to providing lighting so that it would be interesting to pass by at night, so that it would give some of the image of the street. They also have some what I call yellow submarine graphics inside, as well as motivational fitness words that are used on the inside, which could become decorative. We're leaving it up to them, some decorative wall treatment that gives some indication about the institution, the exercise regime that's on the side. So we have a resolution, unless there are questions.
There's a question down there.
Sorry.
There's a question down there.
Sorry? Sorry? All right, so we didn't have a resolution until about 5 minutes ago. So if I read this and Richard follows along. I do it? Okay. And this was drafted with the idea that we would need to modify it this evening, and it was approved 5-0. All right, the fitting room, 584 Columbus Avenue, between 88th and 89th Street, West Side, is applied to the Board of Standards and Appeals for a special permit to operate a physical culture establishment. Before obtaining the permit, the owner fully built the space and commenced operations. The space is on the ground floor and has approximately 44 linear feet of glass frontage on Columbus Avenue. I'm sorry, David. I will. I'm trying to read it, so let me get through this and what we 44 linear feet of glass frontage on a small portion of the glass frontage allows unobstructed view of the section area in the interior of the space. However, no view is provided from the remaining approximately 60% of the frontage. A portion of the view is blocked by a floor-to-ceiling access lift and the remainder by an opaque wall. Approximately 2 feet recessed from the window and obstructing the view of the interior exercise area. The Community Board 7 places high importance on transparency of storefronts around Columbus Avenue. Storefronts in light of the streetscape and enhance security. At managing land use meetings, the owner's attorney, Jay Goldstein, represented the wall in front of the exercise area was necessary to ensure adequate soundproofing, and the glass panel, similar to the water glass video window, did not be placed in the wall on the inside. The meeting was moved to July 5th, so that the owner could explore other options to provide greater visibility inside the facility. Tonight, we had a very healthy discussion with their hang on, it just goes on, sorry. We expect skips give everything, blah, blah, blah. So what we agreed to, the handicap, this portion of the storefront does not appear with the here are abundant examples of such. The architect agreed today to investigate with the manufacturer if they could modify the height of the wall. At the pre-meeting, the architect also agreed with the owner that they would make certain changes with the exception of the opening up of the storefront with view to the result of patient privacy. We agreed that that and were decorative items used in similar amounts of interest. Accordingly, the community board 7 approves, or the committee approves the application of fitting room, provided that the applicant submit a final submission of the modification requested to CB7 Florida.
Subject to providing the result of the
That's because they committed to the treating issues. If they hadn't committed, we would not be able to recommend.
So what is the timing on this? Do they trot with this resolution to DSA, which in our experience, well, I don't know about DSA, but agencies often, oh, that's CB7 approval, and lose track of the conditions as they come back? Or do they have to meet all those conditions here before they can go file in DSA?
Well, in this case, because the space is already built out, it's pretty much fait accompli. This is already built. And we're coming back retroactive. The DSA hearing is next Tuesday. So we've been working hard with the applicant over the last 2.5 months to get a better resolution, better appearance to the transparency issue, because we would not approve it for company with this board.
So did you ask them to adjourn the BSA hearing until they had met our? They did.
They have already.
Oh,
And
okay.
now that we're agreeing to this approval because they committed to those 3 changes. And that is the basis on which this approval was granted.
So the BSA hearing's not gonna be this next.
No, it will be on Tuesday, and we're recommending approval with the commitment of the applicant to make these 3 changes.
I'm sorry, but I don't understand. I thought you said that you were to adjourn the BSA hearing.
No.
Hearing, previous hearing, they to accommodate our concerns and to come back, and they come back tonight for the 3rd time, to the 5-0 acceptance of the committee.
Well, they may be,
They agreed to wait until the committee board could vote tonight. And the applicant came to the pre-meeting, and that this is what the committee voted.
well, I hear you, but and it sounds like they're fairly good people to deal with, maybe very good people to deal with, but it sounds like we're setting ourselves up to have a promise that's not kept.
Well,
I'd like to just make a statement, and I'm going to support this, but my personal opinion is that we're trying to support small businesses. And this feels like an overstep of what we should be doing. We're literally talking about colors of walls, textures of walls. To me, my personal opinion is way overboard from what we should be doing. And I want to make a statement of that. We're supposed to be giving direction and supportive, but to me, this is extremely extensive. We should be supporting companies, supporting these people coming in. We should not be hampering them to that degree. We should be constructively helping, and we have a right to, and we should have a duty, to protect things. But talking about enhancements and things like that, to me, is an overstretch. We should be much more supportive of small businesses. I will support this because I think it's done some good work, but in the future, I just think this is an overstep.
tonight was exceptional, but I have to say that this was already built out. Normally, the applicant comes before they make the fit out. In this particular case, we worked very hard because we believe in small businesses on our land use committee, but trust me, with the Upper West Side urban renewal area, God is in the details. We don't want pictures of hills, we don't want fluorescent light strips, we don't want spaces and cabinets filled with Valentine cars that get dusty and trapped in spaces. So we do go the extra mile. The ultimate decision, you're absolutely right, rests with the establishment to come up with that. But tonight, we heard very positive results, and I agree. This is an exception.
All right, let me just put this in context. Nobody's detailing colors of light or anything like that. Nobody's telling them what decorations to put on there. Nobody is telling them anything of the sort. What they presented was a fait accompli. They started a club before they had a license, before they even applied. And now they're coming to us and telling us that we have to accept it because it's already built. The only thing that this committee did, and frankly I think it's not enough, was to say that there had to be some form of lighting and decoration to ameliorate the really ugly wall that separates the fitness room from the street. And frankly, if they had come to us before they had rented the space, I would have opposed it, and I would have suggested they find a second space. They need privacy. This is the minimum that we can expect from these people. I also agree with Clara that this is not a good deal. We are buying a bigger boat. Tuesday is way too early to tell BSA to approve this. I want to see the results of what they're doing. I want to know what they have done before we send the BSA a positive message.
So Richard, how do you recommend we vote? Because it's going to BSA anyway, how do you vote?
I don't have a problem voting. My answer to Clara would be that we should disapprove it they present to BSA. I don't know whether I'm in a position of being a co-chair. What?
It is,
That's what they committed to tonight.
Okay.
And I worked on that.
It's enough to give her they committed to school.
So they committed to making change. We do have the attorney still here. I don't know, Jay, if you want to enhance my work description, it is, but.
I'd just like to support what the committee came up with. It's not that we should get so terribly involved in all these things, but as Angela mentioned, this is an awful situation. And if it allowed to go ahead the way it is now without making the adjustments the committee has decided on, then Columbus Avenue, which is already an avenue in great stress and great difficulty at the moment, is going to get a lot worse. I think we really have to take this issue and strong support.
Okay, I can answer this. Richard was not at the pre-meeting, Paige was. The members of land use who were at the pre-meeting voted in favor of the resolution to reduce the wall that's behind the lift and to take the last area that's between the wall for the fitting room, exercise room, and enliven. Unless there's another point of order, we're going to call the question. We're not discussing, we're just.
Okay, so the resolution is being presented as approval with this condition being met. Shouldn't we do that it's approval unless the condition be met?
Okay, can we, wait, Shelley, we're gonna let Paige have one more word and then we're gonna call the question.
The issue is the shot, we did not see any mobility lift in the original presentation. That came after, but it was built, as Richard correctly said, before the community work give guidance. The mobility design was a shop drawing submitted by the mobility manufacturer. So now we have a manufactured element installed. It's very hard, it's like undoing a floor in an elevator. You have to go back to the manufacturer and verify. What my co-chair, Richard, has just confirmed is that we do not have a commitment. And my question to Jay Olson, the attorney, is, can we please turn the handy question into a commitment that they modify the support armature of the lift to open it up to as much glass as is feasible.
As the discussion that we today were taken into, I kind of looked at the resident, saw resident retail windows, this is something that's required and
Now we're gonna call the question.
I don't know what we're voting.
Anybody not eligible to vote? Okay, so the decision passes 24-7-5-0.
It's now preservation's time. So Jerry, take it away.
Page. I think he's trying to catch his.
Someone filled out the wrong form, so we'll just digress for a minute. It is Tim Davis.
Thank you very much for this. My name is Jim. About 20 children missing persons. New York City had a very terrible record on that. I was the father of a missing child, and there was a tremendous amount of effort done to change that. I speak today as a board member of WBI Radio and a former chair of the Community Advisory Board of WBI Radio, which is sort of like I raised the issue that we are being gouged. We're in a landlord-tenant dispute with the Empire State Building, and they took advantage of 911 and increased the commercial rents for transmitters 400%. Now, a lot of the people in Empire State Building have deeper pockets than Pacific. But we're now faced with an issue where it threatens the existence of not only BAI, but Pacific Radio in general. We just had, as a guest, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, when Comey testified, Congressman Nadler. We also had a guest today. We had, I believe, a assemblyman on here. So we're here to defend the right of diversity of opinion in New York City right now. We're going to every community board and asking them to, I've left a copy of the resolution there, look at the resolution and send it to their elected officials. We already have State Controller Anthony Napoli has written a letter to Anthony Malton of the Empire State Building. So that's what I'm here to begin to suggest to you. We've already been to Community Board 6. We're going to every community board in New York City to get this done. We already have elected officials involved, Corey Johnson's staff people here over, etc. So that's what I rise to introduce to you, because this is a threat in this period of Trump to a diversity of opinion to be expressed on the airwaves of our great metropolitan area.
Good without going through the whole resolution, what is the relief you're looking for?
We're looking for a fair deal from the Empire State Building. And the resolution I left in the back, as I said, Anthony Malkin has received letters from elected officials, including the mayor.
I got it.
Okay? And then Armstrong.
Thank you. My name is HARBACHAN SINGH, Harbachan Singh. Thank you. I'm a member of the Community Advisory Board of WDAI, and I came to support the gentleman who just spoke with me, my colleague. And this is regarding WDAI, which is a radio station which has an antenna on the Empire State Building. Because of 9/11 incident, the antenna on the World Trade Center had collapsed, and the Empire State Building, because of scarcity of the transmitters, raised our rent fourfold. However, we have been paying since 9/11, we have been paying the market price all the time to date, and the market price is $12,000 today, whereas they are charging us $53,000 per month. So what we are seeking in a sense is support for them to come and enter into meaningful negotiations with our station, whereby the debt beyond the current market rate is discharged, and the interest and the late fees from the last 3 years, during which time WBI was paying market rate, are waived. And secondly, to release to WBI from this onerous release, which is set to run until 2020. Thank you.
So much. Thank you. And now we're going to turn this over to
Preservation. Gary? Yeah, 23 West 69th Street. Our first application is going to be an application for facade restoration work, window replacement on front facade, some rooftop work to expand the penthouse with an elevator bulkhead, and then the largest piece of it is a rear yard addition and the renovation of the facade, of the rear facade. So this first slide just shows the existing conditions. This is a 69th Street, the front facade, the rear facade, and it's in context. Can you go to the next one? And this shows the proposal. This is the existing brick walls, country windows, a three-story rear yard addition, and they're not. And then some minor modifications. They're not proposing a change in the bulk of the building, actually. But what they are proposing in the rear is a total removal of all the rear facade and replacement on the rear facade and on the three-story half size addition to totally change it to being glass and steel, full width, all the way across. Can you go to the next one, please? So this is a section of what the existing the rooftop, rear yard addition, and this is the street facade that shows the content. Next slide, please. And the new, so this is the new section, the rooftop addition. You can see it's relatively minor. It's not visible in the public way. The basement is doing the excavation work, and you can see here the replanning of the rear yard addition. And there's a small living house that's added that actually, so look at it, so this is now showing the front facade with window restoration. Our committee found that the work proposed on the front facade and on the rooftop and not being visible in the public way were all reasonably appropriate. However, as you can see, the rear facade takes a drastically different tone visually than what we find in rear yards. In particular, the fact that the masonry was completely removed from any portion of it, and the fact that it was completely glazed, we found it to be inappropriate for its historic context. So our resolution was to approve the front facade work, approve the rooftop work, and disapprove the rear yard. Any questions? It's in one resolution this time. Because we were consistent throughout the committee too. So, no questions, shall we call the question? So all in favor of approving the front and the top and disapproving the rear yard?
Five. Against? One. Abstaining? None? Anybody not eligible to vote? So the resolution passes 35-1-0.
Okay, so the next application, 122 West 73rd Street, is going to be, this is a request to legalize some existing windows. And this is a small co-op. That's it. Third floor. Oh, is that not the first one? No. It's in there. Oh, forgive me. I'm so sorry. I'm busy jumping around. 122 West 73rd Street. So this is. That's not the application we're talking about first. Can you go to? I may have given it to you in the wrong order when I sent you the slides. But 122 West 73rd Street is a bigger project. 122 West 73rd. This is for a rear yard addition and a rooftop addition as well. Okay, so this is the existing conditions along the street. Can we go to the next slide now, please? And so in the front facade, they're talking about window replacements, which we found appropriate, a rooftop addition, which is not visible from the public way. Yes. And let's go to the rear, please. Oh, no, that's the front facade, put in context. Okay. And then this is the rear yard, existing and proposed. So it's a 4-story building, and the proposal is to remove and replace the rear yard addition, building it out slightly, and then to add 2 stories to the top floor. Let's go to the section for a minute, and I'll show how that's happened. Can you go to the next slide? So that's just context drawing. Next slide. Okay, so this is the existing cut through the building. And so we have a cell that you're going to see is getting excavated more, and they're adding to the roof. Can we go to the next? This is existing without the changes. And this is the proposal for the changes. And so what they've done is pushed down the roof level, so there's a shorter height here, which is how they managed to fit 2 stories in. And even though this building is a 4-story building, there's some buildings nearby that are 5 stories, and they claim that, not they claim, I mean, the fact is this top level is consistent with other buildings with rooftop additions. But cutting to the gist of it, when you look at the scale of it, everything they're proposing to add, we felt was overscaled for the building. Let's go to the next. I don't know if we have another one. That's just the massing. All right, okay, this is more massing diagrams. It shows what's proposed in orange. And so the top is consistent with the top of these, but these buildings started out taller. So something that we evaluate when we're looking at rooftop additions and rear yard additions is what the amount of building was you started with. And so even if you're not going bigger than the neighbors, if you're building with smaller to start, then proportionally you're making an addition that's disproportionate. So can we go back now to the elevations? We show the proposed, one more than that. And that's it, okay. So our committee had major concerns with the rear. We felt it was fine what was going on in the front facade, but the fact is, even though sometimes we've approved something with this much glass, the scale of this and the amount of glass and the bulk of the glass on the roof, and the addition of a little greenhouse structure, which actually felt completely permanent to us. Greenhouses are typically something that can be removed. It looks like an enclosed outdoor space, but this has a walkable roof surface and solid walls on the side. So all in all, our committee looked at this and felt that it was too much on the top, too much in the back, and we voted to disapprove. Any questions? I'm sorry. So all in favor?
Those in favor of the disapproval? Okay. Against again? Okay, one, abstaining, none, not eligible to vote. So the vote passes 25-100.
Okay, now we go to the windows, the 113 West 77th Street. So this is an interesting project. It's a small co-op, and a number of years ago, maybe 10 or more, some of the windows were replaced in the building. There wasn't a filing done, there should have been a filing, and the windows were replaced so that the arched heads were not followed. The arched head of the masonry opening was not followed by the sash. And this is something that Landmarks issued a violation on only after the resident of one of the two floors, who's the third floor resident, who lived in one of these two sets of window apartments, went to file for a kitchen renovation. She was planning to do this summer when her kids were on vacation. And at that point, what happens is you have to go to Landmarks if you're in a Landmark district before going to the building department. And so the building department then basically is what initiated the violation citation. And so the applicants of the second and third floor, or the building, came to us and said, can we legalize the existing condition, the second and third floor windows that don't conform? And the committee felt, like we do with all these instances, that that was not appropriate, and that if it had come before us initially to replace the windows, we would have wanted to see the circular outline of the masonry followed by the windows. However, there are extenuating circumstances. Sometimes Landmarks puts allows people to put off doing the change and put a lot of money into escrow and gives them a limited time to do it. And so while we disapproved the legalization of the windows, we strongly recommended that more understanding the fact that it is prohibitively expensive for more limited than what they were time. And Jay is now going to report. So that was our resolution, was to disapprove the legalization, but with the recommendations that they be understanding of the extenuating circumstances.
It's important to note that the co-op owners in this building agreed to do the replacement. They just needed time, and they needed to not we were told that Landmarks generally would require an escrow of 3 times the cost of the replacement of these windows, which in this case was about $60,000. So they asked us to recommend relief from the size of the escrow and to give them a reasonable amount of time to do the replacement. So our resolution was to not, we found the windows as is to be inappropriate, but we recommended that we give them 15 months and that the escrow be reduced to just the amount of the lowest bid. I appeared at Landmarks and presented our recommendation. The commission was very sympathetic, especially because the applicants had committed that they would do the replacement. But Landmarks actually went further and gave them a time-limited certificate of appropriateness for 6 years with no escrow. So they did much better than our recommendation. I think Landmarks extended themselves a little too far, and they did so on the recommendation of the council at the meeting. I spoke to him afterwards, and his explanation was very pragmatic. He didn't think that the staff should have to monitor the progress of the restoration, so he recommended a long enough period of time to ensure that it would be done. I would suggest that we vote affirmatively on our resolution so that it goes on the record. I think it was a reasonable and compassionate solution to the problem.
Jared, just run the other two. I didn't show the other two images, but just to see, this is the other side of the road on the second floor. Just so you can see what, and that's the building. Sorry about it. So a resolution to approve or to disapprove the legalization of the existing windows, but with the recommendations for leniency on the terms, the time and money. So we call it.
Other question? All in favor? Again? Stanley? The vote passes
169 West 85th Street, which is an application to restore an original street. And then currently the building is all residential, but to convert it, basically they within a retail, it can be commercial on the ground floor. So their intention is to convert the ground floor apartments to a commercial use, to do a rear yard extension to the rear of the property, which is permitted for commercial, and do some modification of the ground level windows in order to create a front door to the retail. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the existing, and right now there's some windows down here and an entrance to this multi-family dwelling. And the proposal is to restore the stoop, using the stoop next door to modify as a model, to replace the front doors and to lower the sill of these windows to create a pair of doors down the lower court, in the street level courtyard, that become an entrance to the retail. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is the existing floor plans and the lower levels. And we go to the next slide, please. I'm sorry, go ahead. I misrepresented. This is the existing street or ground level or garden level, and this is the proposal to enclose all of that, which is permitted into retail. Next, and then this would be with the stoop recreated, renovated parlor floor, and then what the applicant called the green room. It's a planted area on top of that full extension. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is a section of the building as it exists now, and then with the rear yard addition, which goes about 12 feet above the rear yard level. Right now, there's a 6-foot high dividing fence. And there's a new street. Is there anything else? Okay, that's the rear. So this is the massing of the rear facade. Again, I want to show you the front facade, but I don't know if I have anything else. No, okay, so let's go back. So the one recommendation we made, which the applicant agreed to, was that the proposal for the ground floor, the new doorway, and it was a pair of doors. He showed it with a simple wood frame and they're mostly glazed. And we asked that that actually have a little more to do with the historic door prototypes in the area. And he agreed to make it a solid lower panel and glazed upper panel. So with that would be, we found the rest of it to be, from a design standpoint, reasonably appropriate, both the rear yard addition and the restoration of the stoop, the new front door, and the retail doors to be reasonably appropriate. So, any questions? Sure. Can you tell us your name for the record? Okay.
I'm confused. I was under the impression that landmarks, you're not allowed to make changes to the front of the building. You've been talking the last buildings that what is not seen from the street, what is not seen from the street, and yet you're changing windows and an elaborate historic grille to be made into doors. So I don't understand that at all.
Landmarks does not say you can't approve it. They have to, it has to come before us to see if the changes are reasonably appropriate. And with what was presented to us, we found it not inconsistent with other changes we had permitted.
Has doors down there at all. I've not seen any buildings that have walked on the west side where they put doors down there.
Currently,
What they want to do is they can go ahead and do that. Yes. Under the street, into that, there are no doors there, and the windows that have been placed before it became a landmark there. You think the historic building is not as many on the block, put in doors. I've never seen it before anywhere on the entire block. In addition to it, let's see the last one.
okay, there's a whole other issue, but that's.
And third, I'm not kidding. According to the landmark's own website, you're not allowed to be involved with the end of the property line of the back.
If it's retail, you are.
All right, well, then I'm wrong. It's not reading their website. I don't know. And the last thing I want to say, this may or may not affect me, people who are renovating this building had 3 stop work orders for unlicensed electricians. On June 19th, several weeks ago, there was a 3-engine fire in the building. You get the fire report on. I'm extremely concerned about this because when they renovated the building itself, there was dust all over my building. There was fumes from minor floors on my building. I'm extremely concerned about the safety that they're going to do.
I wish you could have come to our meetings because those are concerns that are very, you didn't say, tell. We didn't hear any of this from you. And what I would say about the fire.
The fire happened.
Okay, I'm not critiquing it, and we are very much concerned with those things. What those are not, I don't want to sound insensitive, but what we're looking at is the design appropriateness, and I hear that you do not believe it is appropriate. But our committee, given other things we've done within the district and stuff, we have at times approved that kind of a change that is more major than just letting somebody enter into the student. But meanwhile, the concern about the safety and the, you're living next door and the, all the issues you bring up are very important issues. And through our district manager, we have Brian, that's how I think we have to handle that aspect of this work, because it's not something we can control from a preservation standpoint. So I'm not saying it's not important, I'm just saying that we're not the right vehicle.
Everywhere, I see contact all the time. And everywhere you see a single piece of metal sticking out in an appropriate way, holds up an entire project. You're taking out an entire window and the grill work, and the grill work anywhere on the street, anywhere I see on the west side, and you're putting it in. I don't understand.
Okay, thank you. So, Paige.
First of all, thank you, because that would have been my first comment. I know that street, I live 3 blocks away, and I've never seen a storefront, even those on 79th Street, fish tag, and those don't use in front of the building for the entrance you go to the store. My other concern here has to do, and I didn't do that, is if you go to this section of the building, because I'm very concerned, and you've written resolutions before that refer to TPPN number 10, which has to do with.
You want to go to the section there?
Sorry.
It's like toward the end.
That one. That one. The amount of excavation that this little building is going to be going under is colossal. And I think in past resolutions you've written about TPPN 10, which has to do with
It's been in the minutes, it usually is in the resolution.
Okay, because I think you need to say this here because this is a recipe for disaster. I'm very concerned also that this retail space, I thought, and there are experts in the room who deal with urban planning on a bigger issue, that the extension of an existing retail could only go back if it was a non-for-profit use, not for retail use. And the retail use had to be pre-existing for that to happen. I'm not the right person, but I think that should also be explored. I say no more. I cannot support this as it stands. Thank you.
So I have 2 big concerns. One is this new extension in the back means that whoever has the adjoining backyard, I don't know if it's you guys, you're going to have a huge wall on the side of what used to be just a small fence. And that's really going to block and it's going to completely change the dynamic of the next door property in a really unfair way. And the second thought is, for what it's worth, the architect who did these plans is the same architect who did the building next door to me, which I think we all know has been a major issue, which I'm only bringing up in that I think we should really closely scrutinize the plans, and I hope that you did that because it's been questionable on many of the things that were proposed in that by other things he's done.
Any other comments? Peter?
I'm going to support the visitors, and because I think that the mistake that we make is, well, it's not the first time, but it's still a mistake that we're trying to make is to hide behind our jurisdiction, so that our issue is the design approval that we're empowered to talk about, while the more substantive issue proceeds to the background, and it winds up you get the approval, yet these issues are not resolved. And I reference 103rd Street, which is probably the most dramatic since I've been on board case of the developer, and I don't have personal life with anyone, but I was involved with my ex-wife in the house in Bed-Stuy, where there was a developer next door who destroyed her house to the point that it had to be demolished. Okay, so that there were procedures and processes that were not put in place. The page, what the monitoring, when you're doing excavation, there's a monitor that you have to attach to the adjoining buildings for the vibration, because we're talking about buildings that are hundreds of years older, so any vibration is going to destabilize the building. So the foundation was thoroughly listed, and the city came into the building had to be demolished. Okay, so that I'm gonna vote against this for that reason, the jurisdictional issue, and this a design factor is minor. Okay, if there was already a fire and there's a risk of additional damage, loss of life, etc., I think that takes the front burner and we put what is it, the front burner to the back burner. Maybe turn the burner off an hour until all of these issues are unresolved. That's my position.
I have a couple of points to make about this. Number one, this site I think is within 100 feet, it's close to 100 feet from Amsterdam Avenue, and that puts it in a different zone to begin with, which allows for the rear extension. Most sites on the Upper West Side within 100 feet of the avenues are much further built out. Second thing is that the stoop, the new stoop, I believe must be a reconstruction of the old. There was probably an old stoop there. If you look at the facade, it's like a twin facade to the one immediately to the east. And I think both these things have convinced me that this is a project that I would support.
I'll just say that at the meeting, I was very concerned about not hearing an appropriateness argument from the applicant. I wasn't courageous enough to actually vote in opposition, and I abstained. But notwithstanding the restoration of the stoop, I didn't hear an appropriateness argument about the alterations to the basement level work. And hearing the concerns not only of the unstabilized tenants, but of the neighbors who came to the committee meeting, to me, it weighed more against the project. So I'm going to vote in opposition tonight, but I just wanted to speak to that. Thanks.
So you are obviously all welcome to vote here because we voted. Our resolution was to approve with the modification to that door here that the neighbors are finding objectionable, to modify that design. So, we're done. So, yes.
Can we split the vote for the front and the back?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right, that's fine.
These are all, one can't live without the other. In this case, it's the use.
6A will be the front. And that's 169 West 85th rear yard addition. Okay, so we're in our resolution, we're approving each of those two elements, even if we just split one. But so 6A would be the approval of the recreation of the front facade and the modifications to the ground level to create new doors into a retail establishment. So all in favor of that?
Doing 6A right now, the front facade. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 9. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, abstaining. Four. No eligible to vote? No. So the resolution failed. 924-40.
So then we should turn it around to make it a resolution. Okay, that's fine. So 6B is a resolution, the committee resolution to approve the rear yard addition.
All those in favor of the rear facade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those against? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 27, as stated. 3, no eligible to vote, so the resolution also failed. 7, 27, 30.
So then, should we change it to be just plain 6, resolution to disapprove as the application?
Yes.
Now it's 6C.
Oh, 6C, okay, sorry. So 6C is 169 West 85th Street, resolution to disapprove application, presented. But we haven't finished the vote. If you want to hear it, you should stay for the end.
Okay, all those in favor of the disapproval? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 29. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 5, abstaining. 1, 2, that's 2, not eligible to vote, so the resolution passes 29, 5, 2, 0.
And then the last application is on 95th Street. 6 West 95th Street. So now your thing is finished. If you want to leave, feel free. Or stick around, whatever you want. 6 West 95th Street. But I think it's important to, from the monitoring the building standpoint, that really isn't through us. You should keep in touch with the superintendent concerns and the building department. Okay, 6 West 95th Street. So this is an application for replacement of windows and doors, the front facade, rebuilding the rear extension, adding rooftop skylights, relocating a hatch and condensing units. And so this is the existing. These are the buildings on 95th Street. Can we go to the next, please? It's got a charming little set of windows. And this is the rear facade. Conditions. What? Okay, next. So this is the proposal, and you can see it's, they're not proposing a major, they're additionally shallow rear yard addition. They're doing some minor changes to the roof that have, I think, minimal visibility from the street because of an alleyway that exists next to a tall apartment building. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so this is the front facade, and they're proposing to do some window modifications and some other minor changes, which we felt were very reasonably appropriate. Next, please. And this is the rear. And so they're removing this 3-star partial width addition, replacing it with a rear yard addition that's full width, that sets back some pretty good property, setback line, and replacing a window with a door at the top floor, maintaining masonry, and this is not inconsistent with other projects that we have approved. And the rooftop work is minor; it has to do with a skylight and a hatch relocation. And so our committee voted to approve. Any questions? All in favor?
All those in favor? Okay. None, abstaining? None, so the vote passes 35. Oh, what, I'm sorry, against what I'm saying? Okay, the vote passes 35, 1-0.
And that ends the preservation part of the meeting, and we now go to transportation.
Our first resolution is the approval of a new stand at the southeast corner of Broadway and 88th Street. We've seen the site plan. It will not block access to the medical facility on the corner. Are there any questions? Questions been called? All those in favor?
Those in favor? Against? One. Abstaining? Abstaining one. So the vote passes 33-110.
Thank you. Our next resolution has to do with notification to community boards of any changes in city bike stands, and we have a public speaker, Richard Barr, wants to speak to this now. You signed up.
Well, you're about to talk about how DOT keeps the community board notified about city bike stands. So I just wanted to say that in terms of how they keep the neighborhood notified. And I was at a transportation committee meeting a few months ago when somebody from DOT was talking about the fact that they were about to put one in on 88th between West End and Riverside, one which is 87th, rather, the one which is subsequently been moved. And she said almost as an afterthought that a few months from now we're going to be putting one in on 87th between Broadway and Amsterdam, which is my block. And this is the first we heard. A few months from now is what she said. So my building is on the south side, runs a whole block from Amsterdam to Broadway. So I thought we've got some time to wait, and I put sheets up at all the elevators in my lobbies, for or against, and within a few days, 48 people had signed against, signed for, and lo and behold, a couple of days after that, when the one was going in at West End, they already were installing one that was supposed to be a few months later on my block, without ever talking to anyone or giving us a chance to come to the community board too. So my only point is that I take it you're going to say that the board would like better communication from DOT. So would the neighborhood.
The gist of our discussion is that when a stand is going to be introduced, removed, size changed, or relocation, community board should be notified. That way we can notify communities. Audrey?
I have a suggestion on the resolution. It says in the preamble part, when a station closes or is moved, there is no signage directing riders to the nearest station and or when it would be reestablished. And yet the resolve part doesn't make any mention of that. I would like to see added that we ask that there be notice to riders about and not just where the nearest station is and when it would be reestablished, but also why this is happening.
Can we make that be a further resolve?
Sure.
Because then I think it makes a lot more sense in the gist of the resolution. I have no problem with that.
Make sure I have it. And so the amendment is to be a further resolve that.
Yeah, well, actually, two things, Andrew. One is we don't say notify the community board in advance, which I think would be helpful because maybe that's implied, but I think it should be stated. And also then it would say, and to post notices at the former station location and the online app, giving the reason for the closure and the approximate date of its restoration.
So my question is, would it help if we say, notify community boards of blah, 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 30 days before or 60 days? Would it be helpful to put a time limit? That you're in the best position to decide.
I'm not sure that motivate those things. Sometimes I would love to say 30 days, but you know, if we put that in and they use that as an excuse to not notify us, that would be good. So I would say a reasonable, see it read that way.
I would, if I can disagree, I would suggest 45 days. That would give you, under both months, an opportunity to get through the transportation committee and then the full board. Reasonable to them maybe the day before, and I think that is giving them more, I think that it is a
No, I agree with the premise. I think we should say minimum of 2 weeks or something like that. I don't think you're going to get the 45 days from motivating. But we can say it. I just wouldn't want that to be a reason for them to not do any of the other things.
Well, let's remember, we're not voting on this. This is just to give the community notification through us. We're not going to approve or reject these moves. We should, but I also understand from Motivate that DOT often doesn't give them any notice when they're going to repay the street from this one. So they're in kind of a bad position.
I'm saying minimum of a week, but preferably 30 days if possible. Preferably 45. I mean, I'm happy to put that in. I just don't think you want it. I'm happy to put it. Yeah, great. Well, that's the bad one.
Just go along.
We have experience that they don't actually do that, all of a sudden a stand appears. So there should be, but they're not following them if there are. In addition to notifying community boards that, 1 square block radius of the residential community be notified with signage. Is that words to that effect? I'm happy to put that into. Let's call the question as we've amended the resolutions. All those in favor?
Those in favor? One. Against? Abstain? So the vote consistent is 1020.
Thanks. Our last resolution has to do with driveway safety on 97th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam. Many of the board members and the district manager took a walking tour of 97th Street, looking at various lists of items that were not working well, and there are an inordinate number of driveways entering on and leaving 97th Street that have no warning systems at all. We have one public speaker on this, and that's Bob Leonard. You're a board member. You're going to get to speak with the resident. Is Bob Leonard here? I guess he couldn't stay. All right, Lillian, do you want to speak?
Oh, I don't have a microphone.
Okay, good evening. My name is Lillian Moore, and I'm a member of the Transportation Committee. In addition to that, I am the coordinator of the West 97th Street Community Improvement Group. What this group is basically a coalition of all of the tenants associations on West 97th Street, which consists of Park West Village, Stonehenge, and also Westview. And we came together basically to improve the conditions of 97th Street, as already stated. We
in November. And we've already had pavements done, we connected with the schools, we worked with politicians, we connected with the various community groups and so forth. Because we want to keep 97th Street a viable, wholesome place to be. And we have had problems with intrusions in trying to come into our community, which I will not go into this evening, but it is under strike apart. Look at the material, but look at it with some words. Okay, let me just tell you what's going on with us right now. As Andrew mentioned, we have hazardous driveway. There's no regulations basically to cover them, and there's a question of pedestrian safety. That's why we came to you this evening. There's 7 driveways on the north side of 97th Street, Columbus, and Amsterdam Avenue. None of these driveways are adequately marked and pose a great and constant danger to the community, especially since there is heavy commercial travel and it's a heavy travel pedestrian block. There are three elementary schools on this block. A health center, which is our wonderful Ryan Center, several housing developments, 2 very active supermarkets that includes Whole Foods and Associated. The signage on these driveways are non-existent or totally inadequate. The sections of the sidewalk in front of the driveways are not clearly marked to warn people that vehicles are exiting and entering. This presents an ongoing hazardous condition. We've tried to work with the property owners and actually gotten their address, and one has reached out, and we have to really thank you for that. And the people in the Tenants Association has also reached out, but there's no law that's governing them. We've contacted the Department of Transportation, and they say they're not responsible, nor do they have any regulations to cover the situation. So we thought about it, and we said, if this is happening on 97, this has got to be happening throughout the city, in addition to that. We've offered to even go so far as painting the driveways at our own expense, but they told us it's against the law. There are no city regulations that we are aware of that covers this situation, and this goes back to even our last transportation report and they said, we don't cover those in the areas. Okay, therefore, we come to you for your assistance, and needless to say, if something is not done, there's going to be other tragedies, like we've already had on 97. We all are aware of this. And not only on 97, but also throughout the city. And I just want to, the folks, they just have to come down tonight, but for people in the various buildings on 97, put your hands up, including my darling, thank you. Now, let me just show you some of the things that's going on. I think this is going, as far as the school is concerned, this is the only sidewalk of paved as far as paved is concerned. Okay, or any kind of sign. That goes directly to 163. It's at the curb, cut. But you know that's possible. But any little kids running up and down, they won't see this. They don't know what it is. There was there was some other slides that, okay, this is a problem. This is problem. Okay, let's go back. Okay, here we have a one. Go back to the first one. This is Parkway Village. Nothing. Okay, nothing. This is basically a driveway next to Parkway Village. All right, commercial. Again, you see the sign, but who's going to be looking for it? There's really not, it's bad enough when you cross the street and you're on your iPad. Who's going to be looking on the sidewalk for cars coming out?
And the sign, Lillian, implies that the driver is going to yield to pedestrians.
Yes.
It guarantees that.
Nothing. Okay. The first slide, okay, again, here you have Whole Foods. This is going to see the kid dying. And then
the buildings. I agree that someone that goes underground, which are anything, no kind of side, no signal, and then of course you got the pump, right? Then we have to walk through, and we stand here, I always got to here. So, again, there's something that needs to be done, and this falls in the things of the town, that something needs to be done with driveways and you're talking about bicycle lanes, you're talking about climbing track, but I think we need to do something about
So the resolution is in fact a call to our city council members to enact legislation that would mandate driveway warnings. That's really what it is.
That there are regulations.
They're not thinking about it anyway.
So there aren't any existing.
What happens is that street in particular, I don't know, I don't know many times, people, and you have to see how extremely far. That is not your average sidewalk. It's like a street and a half.
It's out of the control of the department.
Just by the way, the yellow sign in PS 163, that's not the protection of pedestrians. That's for no parking of the buses and the there. It's got nothing to do with pedestrians.
And if you're visually impaired, that little bit of paint doesn't help you either.
This is a great resolution.
Anybody else? Okay, question is called.
All those in favor? Anybody against? Anybody abstain? Okay, so the student participant is 1000.
This one doesn't, this is the one that doesn't make awful noises.
Thanks, here I am again. We have, this is number 11. 3 new liquor license applications. 267 Amsterdam, that's Utopia Diner. They've been around for a while and now they want a liquor license. 2735 Broadway at West 105, the site of the former restaurant called Toast. Seraphina's moving in, Seraphina also has a place. Every place. And 2758 Broadway, which is not West 105, it's West 106 on the corner, the former Machina, and it's now the Exacto Mirror. So we voted in favor of these 3 applications. Any questions? I'm sorry, yes. So I'm asking for your vote in favor of these 3 SLA applications.
Anybody against? Anybody abstain? None eligible to vote, the vote passes 31.
Okay, number 12, 929 Columbus. The place is called Bob's Your Uncle, it's a little bar. They wanted to extend their hours till 4 a.m. the whole week. We said no, but you can have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I think the hours the other days are 2? Do you remember, Linda? 2? Yeah, so we agreed they can have 4 a.m. closing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Any question?
Oh, that really means Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes?
I just wanted to comment, the reason why we allow this is that several other establishments nearby, meaning like Broadway, already so we're looking at their own place to go to these other places. We just wanted to be able to keep their own place there.
Your question? All right, we'd like your vote in favor of this application. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Well, this is a location, it's interesting, this is a location, these owners inherited a really bad vibe. But they have changed their way of doing things. And they came to us because they've been good players in the community all these years and they want a few extra hours and a few extra days. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I just do that. But they didn't have any complaints about the neighbors. That's right, there were 1 or 2 people. We think we should give them a shot. Or 2. Or 2, yeah. For those of you who. So, yes, all those in favor? Appreciate it.
Number 26 or 25, against? Three. Abstaining? That's 3. So the vote passes 45-3-0.
Thank you. And now, before number 13, we have somebody who wants to speak about something.
Okay, I have no comments on the 6 applications for unenclosed sidewalk cafes. I just want to make one comment about enclosed sidewalk cafes. I mean, given the lack of commercial rent control and the way that restaurants and bars frequently go out of business, I think that when you've approved an application for an enclosed sidewalk cafe and that business leaves, it shouldn't automatically carry over. I'll give just 2 examples. There used to be a popular bar restaurant on 72nd Street, which has been long gone, and it's now something ridiculous name of my most favorite food. There's hardly ever anyone in there. The restaurant itself seems more than large enough for the clientele. They have this grandfathered outdoor thing, which given the tree bed, on the other side of the trail, scroll it over to, why should they be grandfathered in? It used to be the Papa Hatch, they had a lot of business. It isn't anymore. They should give it up, or you should have to rebuild each time. The second example, Arden's, which is a very spacious delicatessen, even without that monstrous-sized thing they've got, which you go up the block and nobody can see the signs for the businesses beyond it, but you pass them, you go, pumping it's unfair to everybody else, and it's huge, and they're not there anymore. I don't see why the owner of the building should just keep having, the advantage of renting more square footage. It should go, and people have to reapply when it's
They do reapply when it's a new business, and it's a complicated issue, but
work on empty restaurants that have closed cafes and keep things around. But if you want to be on a task force to investigate this stuff, I'd be glad to look at it. Again, Richard, I've always used in school. All right, so we didn't have any questions yet, but now we will. Number 13, new unenclosed sidewalk cafes. We're going to approve all of them. And of all of them, there's only one new one. Yeah. New business at 416 after. Okay, so since you're already voting, all those in favor? You must be hungry. Go eat out and eat. All of you are familiar from your day.
Thank you, everybody. We will not be meeting in July. I'll see everybody in August. We will be meeting, we did meet in July. We will not be meeting in August, and we will be meeting in September. I wish everybody a nice August. And I would accept a motion to adjourn. Second? All those in favor of adjourning? We are adjourned.